Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about insert tooling. I know there's a lot of videos out there on insert tooling and those creators will probably know a lot more about insert tooling than me, but I did find something quite useful which may be of interest to some of you out there. Let's start with what I've got or what I use on the lathe currently. So this tool here on the left is my go-to tool. I use that for pretty much everything. Mind you, this video is on insert tooling, not high-speed steel tooling, which I also have some of those tools as well. But this is a right-hand tool, so when it's in the machine it's around that way and it faces up onto the right-hand side of the stock there. Now I don't actually have a left-hand tool in the set that I got, you know, one of those cheap Chinese sets. Came about 5 tools. There are parting tools and boring bars and things like that. So the main 2 turning tools were these 2 tools. This one is more of a neutral one. It takes the same insert here. And if I do need to come in from the left-hand side, I usually put it on a bit of an angle like that and sort of come in that way if I need to get into a corner. So kind of limited on what I can do, but to this point it's been workable, I guess. Now these inserts on here are DCMT 55 degree diamond inserts, and they have a rake angle on them as well. I can hold that to the side there. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it comes straight across the top and there is a bit of an angle that way on the tip there. So that gives it a bit of clearance for when you're turning. And because of that rake angle, these tools can only be used in 2 ways. So I can use it as it is, and if this tool gets chipped or broken, then I can take the screw out and turn it around 180 degrees, and I can use this back corner here out the front. And once that second cutting edge is dulled or broken or chipped, then basically the insert is of no use. Well, not for the tool holders that I have anyway. So as I mentioned, to date, these things have been pretty good. They've got me through most of the machining that I need to do, so yeah, they're okay, I guess. So why the big hoo-ha in the video, you're probably asking? Well, let me bring in the other tools and I'll be right back. I just recently bought these 5 tool holders. Well, in fact, there's 6. The center one, there's actually 2 of those, which I'll talk about a bit later on. Now, I bought these because I saw a video from Adam from the Abom79 YouTube channel. It had the title of something like why he loves the CNMG inserts. I'll put a link in the description below because Adam does go into a bit more detail about the naming of the inserts and the dimensions and angles and all that sort of stuff. Adam's point of the video is that the tool holders that he has, similar to these ones here, use this CNMG insert. And unlike the DCMT insert that I just showed you earlier, these inserts have a lot more cutting edges. So the DCMT insert only has 2 cutting edges that can be used, whereas these ones actually have 8. This insert here is a negative rake insert. So it doesn't actually have that angle that I mentioned before, you know, the top of the insert and the angle from the point or relief angle doesn't actually have that. So these tool holders are designed a little bit differently. So if I hold that on the side there, you can see it's straight across here, but the nose of it points down. And that's where the relief angle is created sort of naturally from where it sits on the tool holder here. So what that means is because these inserts don't have any rake angle ground into them, they can actually be used up this way and then turned over and used that way as well. So for this center tool here, you know, you can put it on and then use the front corner, the back corner, and then flip it over and use those two corners as well. So basically you get 4 lives out of one of those inserts. And with these 2 tool holders on the end here, the tool actually fits in that way there. So you're using these other turning edges here. So again, you're going to get the front and the back. We flip it over, and you're going to get the front and the back here. So basically with the tool holders that I've got here, I can actually use all 8 of the turning edges on each insert. So that is hugely a lot more efficient than the inserts that I currently use. Now this video is in no way sponsored by the people I bought these turning tools from. In fact, I had a look around in New Zealand. I couldn't even find these tools, so I had to go to my good friends over there in China and purchase them from there. And having looked at them, they look like they're in pretty good quality. So far, there's no issues that I can see. Now, Adam has a much larger lathe than what I do, so I couldn't actually buy these tool holders in a smaller shank. So these ones are 16 by 16 millimeter, which I think is 5/8 of an inch. But the tool holders that I have are 13 millimeter tool holders, or around about 1/2 inch. And if you watch Adam's video, the center tool here, he couldn't get that in a smaller size, so he actually milled the shank down to fit his tool holders. And I think that's what I'm going to have to do with this set of tools as well. So that is what the next part of this video is, machining down one of these tools and testing it out on the lathe. So here I am just measuring up the existing tool with the new one. I just want to see where we need to mill down, and lining up the cutting surfaces together, it looks like I need to take the 3.5 mil off the bottom of the tool. Over to the milling machine, I start to mill this out. I think this tool might be a little bit blunt, but this stuff is pretty hard as well, and I'm quite surprised about that. So I change the tool, use a bit more oil and just drop the speed down a little bit. And I'm getting kind of a lot of smoke and blue chips here, but I think it's just because the material is quite hard and I'm just taking some light cuts. So we get that all finished, and I'll just measure the depth there, and that all looks good. And then the tool pretty much just fits in the holder there like that, and then we would just tighten down those 4 screws there. Now we're over in the lathe, and I've got a little bit of stick out here, and there's a little bit of chatter creeping in, but this is cutting pretty good. Now I go along the length of the bar. That worked pretty good, and I brought in the tailstock here now to provide a bit of support. This is a 1/2 millimeter cut. That went pretty good. You can see the tool doesn't go right back to the beginning of the stock, and that's because the tailstock is in the way. I'll talk about that a bit later on. And there's a 1 millimeter cut. And that finish is not very good, so I come back in and take about 1/4 thou off just as a finishing cut. That gives us a bit better finish there. Well, I think I can call that a success. Mind you, I've only tested one of these tools, so I've got the other ones to mill down and test out as well, but I don't think there'll be much difference there. So a couple of things to discuss. The finish on here, it's not too bad. I've actually got probably better finishes from my existing tool, but you know, this is sort of first try there, so I'll play around a little bit more with speeds and feeds and see how that goes. Now, I don't know if you saw it in the video, but I had to start around about here and just sort of plunge in a bit, little bit by little bit, and then start doing the cuts, and that's because the tailstock is hitting the back of the tool. Whoops, is hitting the back of the tool here. So I'm going to have to look at either making or buying a slimline or skinnier tailstock. I've seen other machinists on YouTube using them. Even with my existing tools, sometimes the tailstock is in the way, so it's something I do need anyway. The lathe held up pretty good. I mean, I did 0.5 millimeter cut and 1 millimeter cut, and I don't usually do more than that with my existing tools anyway. So as far as cutting the material, I think that's fine. I could probably even go deeper if I wanted to. And these tools here, or the inserts anyway, are far more robust and larger than the existing ones I have, so I don't see any issues taking bigger cuts if I need to do that. The other thing was that the tool sort of only fits halfway in the tool holder here. We bring that up on the end, you can see that, you know, half of it's in the tool holder and the tool holder doesn't go in very deep. These are 16 millimeter or 5/8 tools. I'm using a 13 millimeter or around about a 1/2 inch tool holder, so I guess that's to be expected. I could possibly upgrade to a larger tool post with tool holders, but doing this test here, it seemed to work fine, so I think I'll just leave it as it is and go from there. But I think this is probably the worst tool for support, and what I mean by that is the point of the tool here is the furthest away from the support of the dovetail. So the tool comes up and points away. So you've got probably more leverage here. If I mill down the straight tool and put that in, the point of the tool would be somewhere in line with the grub screw here. So it's more in the center. And then going with the left-hand tool, which points to the right, the point of the tool here is more in line with the dovetail. So these other tools will probably give more support and less chance of chatter, I guess. But we'll see how that goes once I mill those down and test them. So back to the question, do I love these CNMG inserts too? Well, I think with the limited testing that I've done, yeah, I do love them. I really do like how I can use all 8 turning surfaces, so getting a lot of lives out of one insert is quite appealing to me on a bit of a budget. So I think the next steps will be to mill down the rest of these tools and try them out. I don't think there's going to be much of a difference from what I've already tested, but I think these will be quite useful going forward with my machining. Look, if you found something useful in this video, please click on the like button, and if you want to be notified when I create new videos, then you can subscribe and click on the notification bell. Other than that, I hope everyone has a great day, and thanks for watching.